Welcome, everybody, and thank you to everybody who is here at the moment. This is, I think, the 4th or 5th week of this online program. So I thought, before we go into half term, I'd bring my very old teacher, Peter Rowland. How are you doing, my friend?
Hi. Hi, Cam. Thanks for the opportunity. Good to see you. Still as cheeky as ever.
So guys, quickly, we need to know 3 things, right? Can you see us, can you hear us, and can you also see the PowerPoint as well? If you can, I see what you guys are saying. If you also have any other questions or want us to answer anything, I'm not just saying this, but not only was he a great teacher, he is probably the best coach I know. He literally has the answer for most things. So any questions you've got, even if it's from a teenager's perspective, feel free to ask, and we can at least give you some type of opinion. So let me see what we've got so far. Paige, how are you? I'm great, thank you. Tim said hi, Peter.
Hi, Tim.
Somebody says your head teacher looks like he is extremely intelligent. Well, he's not.
I like that person.
Okay, so we got yes. All right, brilliant. I think we're good to go, mate. I think we are good to go. So right now, currently, we got 99 people in attendance, and we've touched base. What would you say now, Peter? Probably the last 2 or 3 years, would you say? Just for everybody,
3 or 4 years.
Yeah, just for everybody who don't know, can you explain a little bit about your background, your experience before teaching, and of course what you're doing now as well?
Oh, blimey, you want the life story. Hated school, left as soon as I could, went to sea, got bored, went to university, went back to college, actually, A-levels in the evening, university as a mature student. Halfway through my degree, I thought, I can do this, I'm not thick, and why not go into teaching and work with young people who might not believe in themselves either. I went into teaching, loved it. 30 years, became a head teacher. We had some interesting times, built a great school. Some pupils gave us problems, no names, Cam, but it was a joyous time. And now I work with loads of schools. I finished headship and now I do coaching work. I'm loving it. Life is sweet.
Okay, perfect, right? So quickly, just kind of casting my back to when you used to be my head teacher. Just for everybody who's listening, what can you particularly remember about teaching me and stuff like that? Because I always remember I used to be absolutely terrified of you, and it was just because of the fact you got a very strong presence, and you've also got, we wanted to do everything right by you, which I think is a strong leader kind of trait, and we didn't want to kind of let you down. And most of the time I'd be a bit naughty or I let you down, but it was kind of that kind of aura you carried. What can you remember about when you used to be my very old head teacher?
I remember loving it, and you can't fake things, you've got to be authentic. I don't think I had a huge presence. I think if you're in a role, that gives you a certain presence, but working with young people is great. You know they're going to make mistakes, you know they're going to get it wrong at times, but what you have to try and do is separate out the behavior from the person. So whilst you had your moments, I knew that there was a young lad there who had real potential, who, if we stuck with him, would hopefully learn from his mistakes and could go on and do great things. And I'd like to think you proved us right.
So dive into that a little bit more, Peter, as far as saying about the behavior and the person. How can teenagers process that as far as what their behavior is right now to who they really are? Because we are all guilty of it. Even now, for me, sometimes I might lose my head a little bit, get angry, shout, whatever it is, right? But I know truthfully that's not who I am, but I just displayed that behavior. So as teenagers, a lot of the time we're talking about pressure, we're talking about stress. How can we distinguish the two, and how can we kind of synergize the two, if that kind of makes sense?
Yeah, it's difficult. You're learning all the time. You're learning from your mistakes. You're learning your way forwards through life, if you like. You probably need a few values to guide you on your way. We've all got an internal moral compass, haven't we? If you just live by the fact that we've used the phrase, haven't we? You work hard and you be kind. And if you're kind to other people, you can be right later. Be kind now, be right later. And so, yeah, we'll all get it wrong. We'll all make mistakes. But if you can try and be 1% better tomorrow, you'll get there.
1%. Okay. Somebody said, Jack said, he seems like a really nice guy. He is, but not a nice head teacher. I'm joking. My mum's a head. Somebody said my mum's a head teacher, so I understand what you are talking about when there is a present head teacher brought into the room. Yeah, good. Right. So quickly, guys, I'm just going to quickly run a poll, just so we can see who you are. So a poll should pop up on your screen right now. Are you a student? Are you a parent? Are you a teacher? Or are you other? Please do let us know, and we will share the results in a minute. Can you also see the poll as well, Peter?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, brilliant. Right, so we got 82% students, 11% parents, and also 6% teacher, and 1% other. I would like to think the other 1% is probably Cameron Parker's greatest fan. What do you reckon?
Nope. I reckon you're hoping. I'd like to say hi to the parents as well. Lovely to have parents. Nobody said this was easy for young people, and it's not easy for parents either. So look after yourselves, everybody.
So what was your initial thought when lockdown and everything happened then, Peter, as far as like when things just started to get serious? Because you'd hear it on the news and stuff. You'd hear all of this going on in China and different places in Italy. But then all of a sudden it just came to us and we was in lockdown. What was your kind of opinion as far as well-being, as far as goals? For example, we all had a goal, we all had plans in our head what 2020 was going to be like, and essentially everything went out the window. Some people, that caused a huge amount of stress and overwhelm. Oh no, what am I going to do now? What about my GCSEs? How can I focus? It's all a load of rubbish. I don't know what's going to happen. What was your initial as a coach?
Well,
not for yourself.
My reaction isn't likely to suit everybody, because I'm not running a school. I'm not learning. I haven't got GCSEs deferred. So what I'm talking about suited me. If there's anything in it that suits you, then great. I guess it's about you have to try and reframe everything. Yes, things have changed. Plans have gone out the window. You've got to have a plan B. And you've got to try and turn a negative into a positive. Yeah, lockdown is a huge problem, but there are opportunities in there as well. What are those opportunities? Personally, I've been talking, as you know, about writing a book for years. Yeah. Now I've got no excuse, so I'll use lockdown to I'll try and get some positives out of it. Be like water, rather than just sort of fronting up to lockdown, I'll try and work around it. So it's about being adaptable. It's about trying to come up with a plan B. And for me, because I'm a lazy sod, and I guess other people are as well, I know I need routine. If I don't have routines, I drift. And so although it's lockdown, I'm still going to hang on to a few things. I know that I'm a morning person, so I'm going to try and get as much time out of the morning as I can. And then if I've done the work that I pledged I'd do, happy day. I can use the rest of the day to do other stuff. So I think it's about, as I say, being adaptable, try and reframe a negative into a positive. And if you haven't got a routine, get yourself one. You need a plan.
Right, I'm going to write the routine bit down just so I can remember to come back to it. But just let me, I want to quickly show you this, Peter, right? So this was out of a poll just on Instagram, but 631 teenagers participated. Does these numbers shock you at all? 81% said they feel less motivated since lockdown, 76% said mental health has got worse, and then 71% said they feel more stressed. Do those numbers shock you at all?
No, they don't shock me at all. I'm not at all surprised. And it's why we've got to be big on kindness at the moment. We've got to look after young people. We've got to look after each other, actually. But no, I wouldn't beat yourself up. I think it's very easy to beat yourself up at a time like this, to imagine everybody else is out there knocking it out the park, logging on to distance learning, spending hours. Just give yourself a break. Be kind to yourself. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to try and be good. Motivation, I reckon, is vastly overrated. We can talk about this later, maybe.
Yeah.
What you need, don't wait for motivation to strike. That's what amateurs do. Have a plan. That's what professionals do. So you can wait for motivation to strike. I just think you'll be waiting till the end of lockdown. So I think be kind to other people, be kind to yourself, and stop trying to make great big gains, little baby steps. If you just did 10 minutes of work one day, 11 minutes the next, 12, I don't know. I just think you can build up slowly. But those figures, they don't surprise me at all. And it's something that schools need to be aware of when they go back, when students go back to school as well. I know students of key workers are still there, but when other students go back, I know that schools will be working really hard to make them create a sense of belonging, rebuild relationships. There's a lot of pastoral work needing to be done before we can get stuck into learning.
So let me ask you a quick question, right? Just kind of going back to that. I always push social media and say how it is the highlight reel. And I think it's very important not to be too hard on ourselves, because it is easy to log into the school platforms and see what other work other people are doing, and then judge their work, like judge it and compare their work with our work. And I think once you, as you said, it's all about baby steps and taking small steps, because ultimately if we can take small steps, it will result in something big, and the outcomes will eventually come. But what we just need to do is it's just as you say, win the day, try and build some type of routine, and just keep going. You are going to experience some type of setback. You are going to experience an obstacle. That is life, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And you talked to Peter about baby steps, right? And I've said it before. Maverick, obviously my son, he's just started walking. But obviously he's a bit he's everywhere with his walking. So when he first started walking, what do you reckon the first thing happened when he started walking, Peter?
I should think he fell over an awful lot.
He fell over a lot. So that didn't mean I just kind of picked him up, I put him on my knee and say, listen, Maverick, walking's not for you. No, we don't do that. So what we do, put him back down and keep going and keep going and keep trying. And eventually he got it. And why I like this whole lockdown period is because if you are going into exams next year, or even if you're a bit older, you've got to start practicing for your theory test, you're going to go into uni. If we can get a grips of home learning now, if we can start to learn and develop in an environment which is a bit more trickier than, say, school, by the time things go back to normal, we can adapt between the two and be efficient in both environments. So this is, in my opinion, like a test run. But quickly, before we go into it, guys, you know this, there's two sides to learning and two sides to growth. There's the information itself, and then there's also the applying and the application and the action, right? So right now on your piece of paper, I want you to write down, what would you say your 3 biggest challenges are right now, currently on this Friday in your life? Write it down, and remember there's some prizes up for grabs as well. But yeah, I don't know what you think there. And let me have a look what some people are saying. So Paige said, you and your head teacher should become a team doing motivational speaking. It's funny that type in Old Head, Young Shoulders on YouTube. We do actually have a podcast, and it's pretty funny as well, because probably every episode Peter tells me off at some point.
Thank you, Paige.
Rosie said, staying motivated is a challenge. Also, to keep being kind. Joseph says, I have that problem of thinking I need to be the best at everything. Great advice on taking small steps. Well done, Joseph.
Joseph, I just say, I've never met a happy perfectionist. You don't have to be perfect. Okay, just aim to be good, and you'll be fine, Joseph. I have faith in you.
Say it again. Say that. Just say what you just said a minute ago.
I've never met a happy perfectionist. We're all aiming. Why aim for perfection? Because it doesn't make you happy. Just aim to be good. Aim to be. You talked about don't compare yourself to other people. The only person you need to compare yourself is compare yourself to how you were a week ago or 6 months ago. And if you're better than you were a week ago, that's progress. You're getting there. You take care, Joseph.
Okay, so we got Ellie said, getting to sleep, staying happy, and stop comparing myself to other people. I'm just going to quickly read out quite a few, Peter, just so we can get a gist of where
that's good.
we're at right Okay. Charlie said my attitude, kindness, and juggling things. Jack said trying to balance my time between friends, trying to balance my time between friends and family. Where is that? Tim said making it through quarantine, aiming to be good and also beat expectations. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Portia, is it? My son is wondering about deferring uni because of online lectures and social distancing. Oh, that's very interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Jasmine said, keep kindness, stay motivated, stay safe. Um, Maria said, I'm running on 4 hours sleep today. Cameron, I'm sorry. I'm not very commentative. That's all right. Maddie said, I just wanted to give a quick update. My mental health has gone up a lot since I last said that stuff with my stepdad. Luckily, it's all improved and my situation has gone up a lot. So thank you. No, thank you, Maddie. And also, thank you for turning up, right? It's all about small steps again. And if one small step you are taking is just turning up to my webinars, then that's a good, strong step, yeah? So, yeah, that's amazing. We've got a lot of comments, Peter. People seem to like you. I'm avoiding the nice things they're saying about you because I don't want to boost up your ego.
Ego. Let's just keep to the work, Cam. Lots of people there talking about sleep and eat. I've got a shed at the bottom of my garden. Every time I look at it, I think shed, and it reminds me of 4 things. 1, sleep. Secondly, hydrate. E for exercise, D for diet. If you want to look after yourself, think shed. Keep those 4 things in balance. And that poor person.
One more time, Peter. I'm writing it down as we talk.
Shed stands for, the S is sleep, the H is hydrate, keep yourself topped up with water and so on. The E is exercise, and the D is diet. And so focus on the look after yourself by focusing on shed. Sometimes you think you've got a problem when actually all you need is either a bit of fresh air, a 10-minute walk, and a bit of exercise, a drink of water maybe. So for all you people who are struggling with sleep and so on, just remember shed and give yourself a bit of self-love. Look after yourself. The lady who said that her son was thinking of deferring uni, that's a really interesting one. My own personal opinion is I think it might be a really good idea. I don't know your financial situation. If you're able to defer and take a year out, there's so much that you could go out and make the most of that year with. You could be doing all sorts. I think through, don't think of deferring as defeat. I think it's a real opportunity to do something different. It's going to make you a more interesting person when you've come out of uni. If you've gone straight from school to uni, basically you've only sat on one side of the desk for 21 years. You could go out there, you could have a fantastic year doing all sorts of positive things. Don't know if that helps that person.
Definitely. So a question from Kelly. Peter, what are your top tips to help a perfectionist working in this environment, as there are endless amounts of learning opportunities? That's a fantastic question, Kelly.
I think that's a nice problem to have. It sounds as if you're conscientious, sounds as if you're dedicated. I just think that I'd be trying to do that done is better than perfect. If you've been given a task and it's done, then I'll take that. I'll move on to the next thing. I don't have to polish it. I don't have to try and get it gleaming. I just think in this context, be kind to yourself. Don't aim for perfection all the time.
Okay, Peter, quick one, right? There is no doubt. Would you mind sharing your age with everybody quickly? There's a reason for this. Would you mind sharing your age?
I don't mind at all, Cam. I'm 65.
So you're 65 years old, right? You'll say coming to the last kind of maybe 40% of your life, 30% of your life, however you want to look at it. You're in a position now where you could just kick back, relax, and do nothing if you really, really wanted to, right? Because you've been busy, you've worked hard, you've built yourself up. I know you still spend hours reading and learning a week. I know you do triathlons, you run 50 miles, 100 miles, you do all these different races. You still stay at the peak condition for everything you're doing, right? You're not like, oh, I'm 65 now, time to relax. You are constantly not only improving and growing yourself, but you are also giving back and making a difference, right? The support you've given me over the last couple of years have been endless. So let me ask you a question. What keeps you motivated, right? Be as honest as you can. And like, where do you get that hunger from? Because you keep yourself very, very busy, but why do you do that for?
Thanks, Cam, because you said some nice things in there. It's about learning. I'm lucky because I made loads of mistakes when I was a kid. I was horrible at school. I failed at school, and so I missed out on an awful lot. And then I discovered learning, and I just found later on, when I was in my mid-20s, I discovered learning, and I just find that I can't leave it alone. But every day there's more to find out, there's more to know. And so in a sense, I feel I'm making up for lost time. I wasted years. And isn't that great that I've arrived at a really good place? All my mistakes have led me to a really good place. And so if you're out there now making mistakes, don't beat yourself up. It's going to be okay. If it's not okay, it's not the end. So for me, it's about learning. It's about curiosity. It's about being healthy, and healthy old age starts with healthy young age. So, you know, now's the time to be getting those good habits going. But for me, I'm blessed. I'm healthy. I'm happy. It's not about me. Take the ego out of it as well, though. What gives me a pleasure now is seeing the next generation of school leaders emerge, because there are some dynamite people out there, and seeing young people learning their way forwards. So it's about treat everything as learning.
Okay, so Ben said, is Cameron your favorite student? Be careful.
I didn't have any favorites. I always had a soft spot for Cam because Cam reminded me of myself a little bit, because I was a cheeky sod in school, and so was Cam. I think if you find school really easy and then you go into teaching, it's quite hard to empathize with the ones who don't get it. So I was lucky in that I bombed out at school. I think it made me a better teacher. You don't have to be bad at school to be a good teacher, but it just suited me.
Promoting bombing school. Okay.
And, yeah, go on, Cam.
Quickly, Kelly said, thank you, Peter. That really helped. Danielle said, wow, he doesn't look 65.
Danielle, thank you.
Dylan said, I also doubt myself after the webinars. I have an essay to do, but I would rather do it tomorrow as I've done a lot of work today. If I do it tomorrow, I will feel bad. What do you think I should do, Peter?
Was that Dylan asking that?
Yes.
I find that Dylan, use the 10-minute rule. If I've got a job I don't want to do, I will just devote 10 minutes to it, because anything is better than nothing. After 10 minutes, I've got a few sentences down. That makes it easier when I carry on. And actually, often, after about 8 or 9 minutes, I start getting into it. And so I'll carry on a bit longer than 10 minutes. But anything beats nothing. So I wouldn't put it off to tomorrow. I'd make a start today. At some stage, we can talk motivation and planning and so on. At some stage, you've just got to do the work. It doesn't go away. So chop wood, carry water. That's the old Zen saying. Just do the business a little bit every day, and those small steps add up.
That's amazing.
So the 10-minute rule I find really useful. Another thing I find is I like the 90 minutes a day thing. I found this on social media. However busy you are, try in the whole day to carve out 90 minutes for the thing that matters most. I'm writing a book at the moment. It's really hard going. I hate it at times, but I try and spend 90. I set the timer on my iPad, and I will try and spend 90 minutes a day. And I find you can achieve a huge amount by doing 90 minutes every day. So a
Okay.
couple of ideas there for Dylan.
This is a great point, and it's kind of just like it was from Nelly. She said, "Do you, Cameron, and Peter have trouble with perfection?" What's
No,
your Go on, explain.
I don't, because I've given up trying to find it. I used to be a perfectionist, and I just found it was making me miserable because nothing was ever good enough. And then all the self-doubt starts creeping in, and your self-talk starts getting negative and so on. So
Yeah.
I learned the hard way that done is better than perfect. Do a job, do it to the best of your ability. And also, there's something about working with other people. Try and work with other. Teamwork is really important. So perfectionists tend to be solo people. I'm a bit solitary, but I do love teamwork. I love working with other people. Teamwork's messy. Not every team will be perfect, but don't please beat yourself up, especially at the moment in lockdown. Just aim to get by. Just
Yeah.
aim to get through it.
I just want to quickly say this as well, right? There's nothing. We don't have trouble with perfection or perfectionist. It's not about that. I have never come across really a successful perfectionist. I haven't. And what I mean by that is the only way you can improve and develop, like what Peter said, is by doing. Most of the time, people who claim to be perfectionists, they never get anything done because they won't release that video because they want it to be perfect. They won't go to that football team because they want the team perfect. They won't apply for that job because there's something in that job was not right for them, but they want it to be perfect. But the fact is, it doesn't exist. I know I keep talking a lot right now about the Michael Jordan documentary, right? People could say that he worked so hard. He was such a winner. He was a perfectionist. But the fact is, he didn't overthink it. Perfectionists overthink, resulting in not getting much done. So when Michael Jordan took the last game-winning shot, yes, he hit hundreds of last winning shots. However, he still missed many. But he
Yeah.
still took the shot because he's not a perfectionist. You have to do. And that wins over perfection every single time, right? Yes, we want the best. Yes, that doesn't mean that me and Peter don't want to strive for the best or work our hardest and get the best possible outcomes. But we also know that overthinking can stump our progress. Trying to be a perfectionist can limit the opportunities we get. That's why we need to have an open mind. So it's not about kind of being a perfectionist. It's about somebody who's just willing to try. And by trying, you are going to improve. And do you know what? You might get to that level of looking like a perfectionist, even if you're trying to not be. That's my take on it anyway.
I think that's really wise, Cam. There's so much good stuff in there.
It's true, because you've got so many people who just, I want to start a YouTube, channel, but I don't really have a good camera. But you got an iPhone, just shoot on your iPhone, right?
Yeah.
The first video you're going to do is probably going to be rubbish. It's a
I
fact.
think if you're a perfectionist, you're probably a bit afraid of mistakes, and that's how you learn. So let go a little bit. Learn from those mistakes. It's like Maverick learning to walk. He'll get knocked down 8 times, but he'll get up 9 times. That kind of mentality.
Okay, so Charlotte said this would be an amazing webinar for my sister. She is amazing. She is a perfectionist. Okay, good. So it is recorded, so you can send it to her after. I spent 7 years trying to be as good as this girl in my primary. Now we're no longer in the same school. I just realized how much of my life I had wasted comparing myself to her. What do you think to that, Peter?
Let it go. It wasn't wasted. You'll have benefited in some way. You might not be able to see what that is for a time, but nothing is wasted. Mistakes, hey, we make them, we learn from them. You haven't wasted your time. So be kind to yourself and just learn from that moving forwards. Learn your way forwards.
Okay, so I want to quickly touch on where are we? A parent's perspective, right? I don't know if you can read this. Peter, but I want you to kind of think about a teacher's perspective here, the 15-year-old's perspective here, and also the parents' perspective, because this was what was sent actually in the private group that I've put up, the free group for parents. I'll give you a second to read that.
Yeah, it's a worry, isn't it? My kids are grown up now. I had 2 boys. Your daughter's 15. There's no way of knowing whether she's opening up to you. I just think it's about being there for her all the time and making sure that she's not isolating. I know that sounds daft in lockdown, but it's when people aren't communicating to other people. Communication is the solution to this, isn't it? Is she communicating? She might not be communicating to you, but is she communicating with other people? So be there for her day in, day out. This is sort of autobiographical again, but my dad went through divorce and he was at rock bottom, and he thanked me one day, and I said, I haven't done anything, Dad. He said, no, you're just here, just every day you're here, and I really appreciate it. And your daughter, although she might not admit it till she's 25, she will thank you for being there day after day for her. So good on you for all that you're doing and being a loving parent. You can't do more than that. You can just keep asking that question, are you okay? And make sure that your daughter's talking to other people as well, that she's got as wide a network as possible.
Wow. It's also important to say that communication isn't just talking. Communication is also body language. What body language are we carrying? Are we kind of showing that we are angry? Are we showing that we are worried? Or our body language, is it actually positive? And as you said, just being there, having positive body language, listening, all of these different things can possibly help the situation. And we won't know how important those things are until maybe, yeah, she is 25 and she looks back and says, do you know what, Mum? Do you know what, Dad? You really, really helped there.
I think you're so right to point out about listening, because we all think we're pretty good listeners, but actually we often try and listen to reply rather than to understand. So a conversation, it's not about winning the think of it as sort of collaboration rather than competition. You're sitting there, you're listening, you're possibly offering solutions, encouraging. Listening isn't about being a sponge, it's about being a trampoline. You're amplifying things, you're making suggestions back, and don't be judgmental as well. But to go back to this lady, just being there, listening as openly and honestly as you can. And if she doesn't open up to you, that's okay. You're there should she want to.
Wow, amazing. So take it from a teenager's perspective. Tim says, I have that problem too. I rarely talk about anything that is wrong, and I've bottled a lot of my problems. What would you say to somebody like Tim, or a teenager who doesn't really like sharing or doesn't feel comfortable sharing? What advice could you possibly give, Peter?
Share in other ways. Share with yourself. There's all sorts of ways in which you can just get stuff off your chest. Journaling. Lots of people use journaling and they just write stuff down. I used art therapy with a lot of students in the past who just like doodling, who just like getting their emotions out of them on paper, in words or in images. It doesn't matter which, but start. Otherwise, you're carrying an awful burden on yourself. So find other ways of sharing, and I would personally try and get outside. If you're in lockdown, you're allowed to exercise, just walk. I was reading yesterday how a program of just 30-minute walks 3 times a day was as effective a therapy as antidepressant drugs. Isn't that wonderful? So you don't have to don't think about sharing. If you don't want to share, that's fine, but get out there, get fresh air, get exercising. You've got 2 doctors, your left leg and your right leg. So get out there and use them, and I hope that helps that person.
I think that falls nicely into this question from Kelly Ann. She said, I feel like I don't socialize enough. Could this affect my well-being? Pardon me.
It can do, but that depends on the person. I don't socialize much, but because that's the kind of person I am. I reckon I'm an introvert, and let's stick together, us introverts. You don't have to socialize, and also one imagines that everybody else is out there socializing away. You can be really lonely in a crowd. Socializing for many people is overrated. You don't need loads and loads of friends. You just need one or two good ones. My wife's my best friend. I'm very lucky. My dog's another one. I haven't got a great pool of friends, but I've got an awful lot of support in lots of different ways. And so to that person asking that question, you know yourself, trust your gut instinct. Your gut instinct is usually very right or very wrong. And if your gut instinct is telling you that you don't need loads of friends, you're probably right.
Peter, I thought I was your best friend.
Oh, Cam. You're one of them, Cam. I'll add you to the list.
Mate, you just put your dog over me. I can't believe it.
He doesn't answer back. He's not as cheeky.
Joseph said, I used to write my problems down on paper, then rip up the paper and throw it away. It was a way of getting rid of my problems. Good.
That's great, Joseph. Love it.
Jess said, writing songs is a good way of expressing how you feel, even if you're not a musician, just write the lyrics or poems, I guess.
Yes.
Tim said, I need to do that. Thanks, Peter. Paige said, I've been considering writing feelings in a journal because I don't like talking about it, but I'm scared that it will get found. I'm always drawing and listening to music to get away from the world. What would you say to that, Peter?
I'd learned from Joseph. Joseph wrote it all down, but then got rid of it. You don't have to keep it, and then you needn't worry about people finding it. So good on you for writing it down. It's a healthy thing to do. It's cathartic. But I think we could all learn from Joseph, and thanks, Joseph, for the tip.
Yeah, okay. Charlotte said, did I just miss one? Sorry, I missed Keith. Sorry, mate. Keith said, when I have negative emotions, I just bottle them up into a small bottle until it explodes, and I just can't speak to anyone about it. What would you say to help?
I'd take time out. I think it's really easy to bottle things up. For me, it's about I walk an awful lot, and often if I had a really angry student on my hands, if we were dealing with something, one of your mates perhaps, Cam, who was losing the plot, we'd find just a safe space that they could go to, and we'd suggest that they just take a walk, just go out there and walk it off. Don't bottle it up. And I'd say to them, I'm not going to ask you any questions for now. I'm not going to try and understand. I just understand that you're angry. That's okay. Off you go. I'll meet up with you in about 15-20 minutes when you've let off a bit of steam, and then we can have a proper conversation. So my heart goes out to that person who bottles it up. Again, if you could just take the cork out of the bottle a little bit and let off a bit of steam in try and be in positive ways, journaling, the things that we've been talking about, it all helps.
Okay, brilliant. Moving on quickly. GCSEs, obviously massive change history made this year with GCSEs being missed. Similar to the question I got showing on the screen, whether you are in year 11 and missing your GCSEs, what advice would you give to those year 11s currently? They're unsure what grades they're going to get, and obviously they can't really plan for the future because of the situation. What advice would you give to those year 11s, Peter?
Keep talking to staff, keep talking to your teachers as much as possible. And I really sympathize with you. It's been really tough. You worked your socks off, many of you, majority, I hope, and that's been taken away from you. It's very tough. I sympathize, but I'd be practical about it. What was your plan? Did you have a plan B? I think that you need to be practical at a time like this. So results day will be in August. Your teachers will have made professional judgment about your qualification that you deserve based on your prior performance and so on and so forth. They'll have taken lots of factors into account. So at this stage, I'd be as practical as possible. Hopefully plan A, you can still pursue it in September, but if not, what would be your plan B, and what would plan C look like as well? And I'd be talking to your teachers, talking to parents, talking as much as possible.
Okay, good. Portia said, thanks, Peter. You are saying so many things that ring true to us parents who are older like you, but sometimes our kids just don't always listen to us saying. So yeah, good. Well done.
Thank you, Portia.
Let me quickly read what some people are saying. Joseph said, the greater the failure, the better you'll feel when you get back up and learn from it. Jasmine said, don't worry if you don't get good grades. At least you tried and you might get good grades on the next test. Just keep talking. Peter, will the years restart after September? So year 12s will not go to year 13s, but stay as year 12s. That's not happening, is it?
Not as far as I'm aware, but nobody's sure what's happening, but I'd be very surprised if years were repeated. But I suspect they'll adjust the exam system for next year. They're going to have to. But we don't yet know what that looks like.
And I think the biggest thing is, right, there's so much uncertainty in the air at the moment, but we can still create an element of certainty. And a way we can create that is by focusing on what we can actually control. And I said it before, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity you do not have yet than have an opportunity and not be prepared. And right now, okay, we don't know what the opportunities are, but regardless of what those opportunities are, we must be ready for them mentally, physically, emotionally, the lot, right? And yes, it is a difficult time, and we can start to make small progress to start to build and increase our character, right? So when lockdown is over, once these opportunities come, we haven't just basically chilled on Netflix for 6 months. We used the time wisely. We worked on some of the things we struggle on. We've overcome many different challenges. So this is the preparation stage, but we cannot prepare if we're focused on what Boris Johnson is saying. We cannot prepare if we're just focusing on what the exams will say in August or what results we would get. What we need to be focusing on, what can we control now? What do we need to do today to make sure I am taking baby steps closer to my goals and to my dreams? So focus on what you can control. That is very, very important. Harry said, it is hard for me because I have an anger issue and I broke my phone in lockdown, so it's a challenge to stay calm. What would you say to that, Peter?
Sorry, Harry, to hear it. Try and find as many ways as you can to just deal with it. It's about communication. The anger is masking something. Anger is your enemy. So if you just hold on to the fact that anger is your enemy, we talked before about people who bottle things up. Try and not allow that to happen. Try and find coping strategies. But hopefully people will help you through that, and you'll help yourself forward. As if it starts happening a little bit less than it used to, that's progress, and a little bit less after that. So I hope it works out for you. Hope it does.
Okay, so this is a great point from Ronnie. Ronnie said, I'm struggling to stay consistent. Some days I do lots of work and some days I do none. How do I stay up to date with my work and improve my productivity?
Yeah, well, good. You're halfway there. Congratulations on the good stuff that you're doing. Sometimes we can improve by taking stuff away. Instead of adding things on, instead of thinking I've got to do more and more and more, strip out some old bad habits. And think about what a bad day looks like. What is it that you're doing on your bad days that doesn't happen on your good days? And do less of that. So it's about improving by removing. Remove your bad habits, and then you'll find that you get more consistency. But you're already halfway there. So pat yourself on the back. Well done for the good days. Have a few more of those and strip out those old bad habits that sabotage you.
Easier said than done, but I love that, right? So improving by removing, right? How do you identify the bad habits?
Oh, just look at, well, actually, it's quite interesting talking about how you spend your time. There's a guy called Tim Urban. If you Google Tim Urban, I think it's Tim Urban, but he talks about how you spend your day. Divide your day up, your waking hours into blocks. Cam's disappeared, never mind. Divide your day up into blocks of 10 minutes and map out how many blocks of 10 minutes you spend on different activities. How many times, how much 10-minute block do you spend eating, exercising, studying, looking at your phone, and you'll have a map then of how you spend your days, and you can start trimming down on some of the stuff that isn't productive. Think about alive time and dead time. Alive time is the valuable time. That's when you get stuff done. The dead time is when you're scrolling through your phone for hours on end. And I do it, but I just make sure that I keep a track of my dead time. You know, your phone will tell you how much screen use you've got. Well, track that, trim it down, put a limit on things. So I hope some of those ideas help you be more consistent.
Can you touch on a bit more about routine? And if somebody's in a terrible routine of going to bed really, really late on their phone, on the game, and then just struggling the next day, because most of the time when we feel tired, we feel lazy, or we don't have the energy or motivation, the reason why is simply because we just don't have a good enough routine. And in my opinion, the number one killer of motivation is being tired, right? So that's why it's more key of getting the habits and routine in place, because when we feel happy, sad, whatever, it doesn't necessarily matter. And what actually matters is the fact that the routine's there. So we're most likely going to have those habits, which will make a difference. But with that said, quickly, I want to ask you guys this poll, just so we can see, how are you feeling today, before, say, this webinar? Obviously, I couldn't cover all emotions there, but how are you feeling today, guys? And if you're feeling other, please let us know in the chat box. That would be great. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, thank you for everyone. So we got 43% happy, good, 2% sad, 25% stressed, 19% lost, and then 11% other. Let me just quickly check the chat, Peter, to see where. Okay, let me have a quick look. Okay, so yeah, somebody said tired, back into like a routine. What is the first step of ensuring that you get into a good routine? What is the first thing we need to do to ensure that, yeah, whatever it is. Right now, I'm a teenager, I got a terrible routine, I'm not sleeping great, I'm not doing no work, and it's affecting all walks of my life in lockdown. What could be the first step of covering that?
I'd write down on a piece of paper what a really great day would look like for you. You need to know whether you're a lark or an owl. Are you a morning person? Are you an evening person? Find that out. I think that's really important. Then you need to think about how you might divide your time up and have certain things to help you with that routine. Map out what your dream day would look like. How much time would you be spending on different activities? Then construct a routine around that. And also create good habits around, Cam's mentioned sleep a few times. Sleep hygiene is really important. Check out as much as you can about sleep hygiene, what you can do to make your bedroom a more comfortable place for sleep. If you're watching television for hours and hours and hours until 3 o'clock in the morning, or you're on Netflix or whatever, I'd clean up your sleep hygiene. Think what your dream day looks like. Actually write down what times would suit you. And then I know that if I need to go out for on my bike in the morning or for a run, then one thing I'll do is I'll lay my stuff out the night before. It sounds really lame, but if the first thing I see when I get up are my trainers by the door, I think, oh yes, that's what I got to do. So have little hacks, little things that might help you stick to your routine, but find out what routine suits you. Don't try somebody else's routine. You're unique, you're special, you need your routine that suits your biorhythms, your body clock. But think about shed as well. You know, that's sleep, hydrate, exercise, and diet. Because if you start thinking about well-being and healthy habits, you stand a better chance of sticking to your routine.
Okay. Tim said I sent you to work, by the way. Good job, Tim. Guys, honestly, from the back of this kind of webinar, there should be a lot of things you can take away. So I'm expecting some phenomenal work to be sent to me. Once again, remember, we got a lot of prizes to give out. So take a picture of your work with the screen. Me and Peter are on there, share it. And yeah, we've got a lot of prizes and things handing out. Let me have a quick look. I have a type of sophicia, I can't read that word, where I can see colors when listening to music. Okay, so I like listening to different types of music depending on my mood and what colors I want to see. Okay, that was from Ellie. Thank you. Sorry I couldn't say that word. Dyslexia took over me then. I have no sleep, mainly because I have sleep paralysis. I need help on conquering it. Okay, so if somebody's struggling with sleep, like, obviously there is a common thing, you go to the doctors and get advice there, but what couple of tips would you give somebody to try and go to sleep and get a good night's sleep? So for me, obviously my sleep isn't very good because I got a baby at the moment, but there's no doubt I put everything on the table every single day, 100% kind of effort, or I try to at least. So as soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm out. Like my wife says to me, I've never met anyone who goes to sleep so quick. So literally, I'm not even lying to you, right? As soon as my head hits the pillow, I am out. It's probably not a good thing. It probably just shows that I'm exhausted, and I have been working on my sleep. But as I said, right now it's kind of out of my hands because of the baby. But what couple of tips would you give people as far as trying to get good sleep hygiene?
I'd give 3 tips, Cam. Have a digital twilight. An hour before you choose to go to bed, get and just link to that. Get as little blue light in your room as possible. Get your devices out of your room if you can. But an hour before you hit your bed, get off all your devices and just allow your body to wind down a little bit. And then, so the first one is digital twilight. The second is get rid of as much blue light from your room as possible. Get your phone, charge your phone downstairs, whatever. You can be apart from your phone.
Different, sir.
Say again, Cam?
Just the blue light, how does that make a difference?
I check the science. Go for the research, not the me search. What does the science say about blue light and sleep hygiene? The other thing is, I'd say have the same time to go to bed and the same get up time. You need routine. If you're going to bed at 4 o'clock, one day and 11 p.m. the next, your body doesn't know if it's coming or going. So be kind to yourself. Get a regular time when you want to go to bed and when you get up, and try and stick to it. Wind down before you go to bed with that twilight idea, and check out what they say about blue light and the way it interferes with sleep patterns.
And let's just think a bit about let's just think a little bit about going to bed the same time and body clock, and actually why that is important. If you guys were into sports and stuff like that, for example, if Tyson Fury was fighting Deontay Wilder at Open in Las Vegas, he wouldn't go and travel 2 days before, because the fact is his body clock just won't be used to that, and he'd probably be fatigued and he will be tired. So we want to try and maintain the body clock the best way we can, right? So what he would probably do is travel out, say, at least 6 weeks before, and even when they fight, they probably fight at Las Vegas time, which would be like 10 o'clock at night. What they would probably start to do is do heavy sparring and most of their training at 10 o'clock at night to get them used to that type of body clock. So that's the same. If you got a terrible body clock and then you got an exam, say at 9 o'clock in the morning, but normally you wake up at 10 o'clock, you're probably not going to be as efficient and as effective as you possibly can. So body clock and all of these different things is very, very important. And these are the things that don't take much effort. They don't require much effort. They're just small things we can implement, which ultimately will have a big impact. It's like a magic pill, right? And you don't have to do much for it. Don't know what you think, Peter.
Yeah, I think that's good, Cam. So try and go to bed feeling tired, but properly tired, physically tired, rather than just tired from having scrolled through your phone all the time. Also, we haven't really talked about it, but sorry. The other worry is waking up worrying about things. I sometimes do that at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'll be worried. Actually, most of the things that we worry about never happen. So that's worth bearing in mind. And the other thing is, could you tell me what you were worrying about a year ago? I bet you probably couldn't. At the time, you were really worried about it. Now you can't even remember what it was. So all things pass. This will all pass. So stick to your good habits. Don't beat yourself up, and try and keep those problems in perspective. That will all help.
Right. So I just want to quickly. Actually, somebody said I'm struggling to find my own body clock due to having a strict mum who makes me go to bed and wake up at a certain time. However, I don't think it suits me. What should I do?
Oh, that's such a good question. I'd thank your mum, and I'd stick with the routine that suits the family, because we've all got to obey a certain amount of routine. I think when we come out of lockdown, you'll have to be getting up at a certain time anyway. So you might, in lockdown, create one routine that you simply can't work when you exit lockdown. So going to bed at 4 in the morning and getting up at 3 in the afternoon might suit your body clock, but you won't be able to stick to that once we're out of lockdown. So I'd say your mum is being strict, but one day you'll probably thank her.
Okay, good. Right, so we're running out of time quickly. So guys, if you can write a couple of words, if this session benefited you, please write as much as you can if you benefit from this session. I want to quickly ask you this, right, Peter? If at the end of the year you had accomplished one thing, what is the one thing that would make the biggest difference to your happiness? And that's to you, Peter, directly to you. What would your answer be?
For me, it would be getting my book finished. Because I've been threatening to write it for years, and I've been told, get a crappy first draft down. There's no such thing as writer's block. There is such a thing as getting started block, and I've had getting started block for years. So I'm just trying to get excuse my language, talking crappy first draft, but that's how he put it. That's what I'm aiming to do. It might not be any good, but it'll be done. And then I'll have accomplished something that I've been meaning to do for years. So that's mine. And I think there are lessons in achieving it that everybody can learn from. Just get started.
Perfect. Right. I'm going to quickly put this poll up for you guys. Did you benefit from this session today? Make sure you send over your notes to my email or to my Instagram. That would be great. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, my word. I think we might. Oh, no, we were close. We were close, Peter. We were close. Close to 100.
Focus on the positives, Cam.
There you go. Anyway, Peter, I just want to say, obviously, it's been a while since you and me connected. Once this finishes, it will finish. I won't speak to you after this, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything you do. I know together, like, we grow, together we improve, and from the bottom of my heart, I think, say 10 years ago, I could never imagine being sat here on the podcast with you. I'm sat here on this webinar, inspiring and talking to people. it's only the start. I feel like we're building great things. And you know what? Somebody said about motivational speaking earlier. We do actually have a brand called Old Head, Young Shoulders. You should check it out on YouTube. And I'm sure that we will put in on an event, because I feel like the 1-2 combo is very, very effective. But Peter, please keep being great. You're doing amazing things. And how do we normally sign out from this?
Oh, there's only one way to do it, Cam. Remember, everybody, and thanks everybody for today, but work hard
and be kind. There you go, guys. Thank you, Peter. I'm about to sign out. I think you just got to leave webinar, and then we're done. All right. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.